The cruise industry is on its way back. This giant cruise ship in Port Everglades, Florida is preparing to begin its first passenger cruise, but already 2 passengers on board another ship, the Celebrity Millennium, are in isolation after testing positive for COVID-19. That ship left St. Martin on Saturday, and all adults on board were vaccinated. The CDC recommends 95% of all cruise passengers are vaccinated, but the Republican governors of Florida and Texas are refusing to let companies require passengers to prove their vaccination status. As Errol Barnett reports, keeping people safe on these ships can be a challenge.
Sail order, cruise ships around the U.S. are poised to welcome back vacationers. Royal Caribbean Group CEO Richard Fain is eager to see Americans embark on one of his vessels from Port Everglades in 2 weeks.
That's very exciting, but I'm still confused about the details involved in getting us there.
But after the cruise industry spent over a year negotiating with the CDC on how to safely protect against COVID and prevent super spreader events, there's another wave of resistance.
People are going to cruise one way or another. It's a question is, are we going to do it out of Florida, which is the #1 place to do it in the world, or are they going to be doing it out of the Bahamas or other locations?
Florida Governor Ron DeSantis sued the CDC to permit U.S.-based cruises in the spring. Then last month, the Republicans signed an executive order prohibiting businesses from requiring vaccinations, a key CDC recommendation for sailing. DeSantis is levying a $5,000 fine per violation, so one cruise ship could potentially incur millions of dollars in penalties. And on Monday, Texas Governor Greg Abbott followed in Florida's wake, even though Carnival Cruise Lines had announced a vaccinated-only cruise from Galveston that same day.
No business or government entity can require a person to provide a vaccine passport or any other vaccine information as a condition of receiving any service or entering any place.
Before COVID, more than $10 billion in direct spending was generated by the cruise industry in Texas and in Florida, nearly half of annual cruise spending in the U.S. Cruise lines are eager to earn some of that back.
What do you make of what cruise lines are trying to do to get back to business?
They're sort of between a rock and a hard place.
Attorney Michael Winkleman represents cruise passengers and staff in legal disputes.
Neither of these governors are members of the CDC. Neither of them operate a cruise line. I think they essentially need to keep out of this and let the CDC and the cruise lines continue to work together so that people can get back to cruising safely.
It's a sentiment shared by most prospective cruise passengers. Roughly 60% prefer mandatory vaccines, according to a recent Harris poll. Only 23% prefer they not be mandatory. Oliver Max in Texas would be on a cruise right now with his family if it weren't for this cruise conflict.
I think that if there's not a vaccination requirement, that I will wait a few months and wait to see what happens. I believe in the cruise industry to take care of people.
CBS News travel advisor Peter Greenberg says cruise lines can decide to move their business elsewhere.
We have 17 ports in the United States where cruise ships were operating before the pandemic. If you're not going to have vaccinations as a requirement, people are going to make other choices.
It's unclear where all of this goes from here, but here's what we do know. Yesterday, Carnival announced their biggest vessel will sail on her maiden voyage next month. Everyone on board will be vaccinated. A shocking amount of people are finding problems on their credit report. What they're finding is wrong and how to fix it is next.